I'm Anil Kumar. In this video, we'll review all what we have learned about medians and their intersection, right? So we'll talk about what is a median, how to find centroid of a triangle. Centroid is a point where medians intersect. Find the ratio in which centroid divides the median, and then we'll have multiple choice shortcut answers. So when I say multiple choice shortcut answers, I'll tell you how to immediately answer the question about medians and centroids without doing many calculations. So let's first talk about median. So let me just construct a triangle here. Let's say that's the triangle. To draw a median from any vertex, it really means find midpoints of the opposite side. So let me say that the triangle is ABC. And if I have to draw median, it means that I'll try to find midpoint of the opposite side. So let's say if I have to draw a median from A, then first step is to find midpoint of line CB. Let's say that is the midpoint. Then the line joining A to the midpoint will be called as median, right? So let's call this point as D, so that D divides CB into two equal parts. Similarly, if I have to draw a median from C to AB, in that case we'll find the midpoint, and then line joining C to the midpoint becomes the median, right? So we get the second median from C, which connects the vertex C to the midpoint. Let me call this as E for the time being. Wherever these lines intersect, that is called the centroid, correct? So what we learned here is that the median connects vertex to the midpoint of opposite side. So what is median? So median is line connecting vertex to midpoint of opposite side in a triangle, right? It's all about triangles. So that is the definition of median. Now the point where these two lines intersect is called the centroid. So centroid is point of intersection of medians. Is that clear? Now it is important to note that if I join the midpoint of the third side with that vertex, it will go through this point only. So basically, if I join the centroid and connect, in that case you'll find that it will divide the other side into two equal parts, right? So we call this as F, let us say. So all the medians will always intersect right there in the middle, and this middle point is very important. At times we also refer to this as center of mass. Right. So a body can be balanced at this particular point. So we can understand that the whole area of this may be acting at a point which is center of the mass or the centroid. So this is the basic concept about median. One more thing which is very important to understand here is that the center point O is in such a way that the ratio AO over AD is always equal to CO over CE, which will be equals to BO over BF, and the ratio is always 2:3. Or you can say the side lengths will be in the ratio of 2:1, so the total is 3. You get the idea. Is it okay? So you could also say AO is to OD is equal to 2:1, correct? What I'm saying in this way is that AO is to AD is 2:3. So either way, the lengths of these medians are related. So these are very important basic things which you should remember. Now I'm giving you here a formula also which is extremely important to find the coordinates of the centroid itself. So the formula is that the centroid could be found by the coordinates of the vertex. So if my points are x1, y1, let me write these points as x1, y1, x2, y2, and x3, y3. In that case, the centroid will be at, since it is right at the middle, it will be at x1 plus x2 plus x3 divided by 3, the average value, y1 plus y1, y2 plus y3 divided by 3, right? So that becomes the coordinates for the centroid. Now that is an extremely important formula to remember, right? Okay. With this, let's move on and answer a few questions. Question number 1. Intersection of median is called, you can always pause the video, answer these questions, right? So it's called centroid. Question number 2. The vertices of a triangle are A is 2, 1, B is 5, 7, C is 8, 4. Length of the median from A is how much? So we'll have to calculate this length, correct? So let me sketch the diagram now. So we'll just make a rough sketch here. And what we are given here is that A is 2, 1. Let's say B is 5, 7. And C is 8, 4. To find the length of the median, we have to first find the midpoint of BC, since we want to find median from A, right? So we are looking for this line, A to midpoint of BC. Let's call this point as D. So what is the midpoint? Midpoint is the average value. So D is going to be 5 plus 8 divided by 2, that is the x value, and 7 plus 4 divided by 2, the y value, correct? So let's calculate this. So we have 5 plus 8 equals to divided by 2. We'll write it in decimals. It is 6.5. So it is 6.5, and 7 plus 4 is 11. 11 divided by 2 is 5.5, correct? Now we have to find distance AD. So length of the median is distance AD. So AD will be equal to square root of 6.5 minus 2 whole square plus 5.5 minus 1 whole square, right? That is going to be the length. So it is 6.5 minus 2 square, and then we'll add within brackets 5.5 minus 1 square, and whatever we get, we'll square root our answer to get the result, and we need it in decimals, so it is equal to 6.36. 6.36 is close to 6.4, and therefore C is the right option. So I hope the steps are clear to you. So if you have to find length of a median, then find the midpoint of the opposite side, and then once you know the midpoint, use the distance formula to find the length of the median. Perfect. Now let's move on to question number 3. It says the vertices of a triangle are A is 2, 1, B is 5, 7, C is 8, 4. The coordinates of centroid are what? So we're given choices. Now as we know our formula, the coordinates of centroid will be, we could do average of all x values, which is 2 plus 5 plus 8 divided by 2. That becomes the x value. And the y value will be 1 plus 7 plus 4, divided by 3, not 2. So that is the formula, the average, correct? So it gives you 10, 15 divided by 3 is 5. And here we get 8 plus 4, 12 divided by 3 is 4. So that becomes the value for the centroid. Right answers. Is it okay? So those are wrong values. Misprint. Okay. Well, let's move on and do the next question. Two vertices of a triangle are A 3 minus 5, B is minus 7, 4. If its centroid is 2 minus 1, find the third vertex. Now that's a very interesting question. So let me just sketch so that it helps us to understand how to solve such a question. So what we know here is that point A is given to us as 3 minus 5. B is given to us as minus 7, 4. C we don't know. If it's centroid, so we know the centroid, that is the point where the medians are going to intersect, right? So we know that the centroid is 2 minus 1. Find the third vertex. We want to find x value and y value of the third vertex, correct? So how can you figure this out? Well, since we know the centroid, which is average of all the three, we can write down that 2 is equal to average of all these three, that is 3 plus, that is, we could say plus x, minus 7, is it okay? Divided by 3. And you can solve for x. So if you cross multiply, you get 6 equals to x minus 4, or 6 plus 4 equals to x, which is 10. So we get the value of x as 10. To get the y value, we'll find the average of the y values, which should be minus 1. So minus 1 should be equal to y plus minus 5, which is minus 5 plus 4 divided by 3. Cross multiply, we get minus 3 equals to y minus 1, and that gives you y is equal to minus 3 plus 1, which is minus 2. So the answer is 10 minus 2. Do you see that? So that is how you could solve this question. Now we have another question which says triangle ABC has vertices A as minus 3, 4, B is 5, 8, and C is 1, 0. Find the point of intersection of the medians from point A and B. What is the point called? So that's the review question for you. I'd like you to pause the video, copy the question, and then look into my suggestions. The question here is, triangle ABC has vertices A minus 3, 4, B 5, 8, and C 1, 0. Find the point of intersection of the medians from point A and B. What is the point called? B. Verify that the third median also passes through this point. C. Verify that this point is 2/3 of the distance along each of the medians. Right? Now, with the help of this question, actually, we can understand all about medians. I'll kind of give you overview and then we'll provide you with the solution. We are given point A as minus 3, 4. So somewhere here, let's say somewhere here. B is 5, 8. So it's in quadrant 1. Okay, so let's say A and this is B for us. And C is 1, 0. So 1, 0 means 1, 0 means on the x-axis. So somewhere here, right? So 1, 0. So let's say the triangle formed is kind of like this. Okay. So that becomes the triangle. Let me write down the coordinates of each point. So we have A, which is minus 3, 4. B, which is 5, 8. And C, which is 1, 0. Now we need to find point of intersection of medians from point A and B. Medians are lines which connect vertex to midpoint of the opposite side, right? So the first median from A, we have to locate the midpoint and then join. So that becomes the median. For median from B, we have to locate the midpoint on this side and then join. So that becomes the median. And as you can see, somewhere in between, it is going to intersect. We need to find this point of intersection. As you know, all the medians actually will go through one point. So this median will also go through this point. We'll verify this. And this point is called centroid, which is part B. Part of our question in A, right? So centroid is a point where all the medians intersect. Now let us see how to find equation of these medians and then point of intersection. So let me label the points, the midpoints as, so A, B, C, we'll say D, E, F are the midpoints. Now there is a shortcut also to find the centroid. You can find centroid as, let me write down the formula here, which is very helpful, especially when you are working with multiple choice question, right? So it is x1 plus x2 plus x3 divided by 3, that is the x value, and y1 plus y2 plus y3 divided by 3. So that is the centroid. In our case, we know these points, so the value should be minus 3 plus 5 plus 1 divided by 3, and the y values are 4 plus 8 plus 0 divided by 3, which is so we get 6 minus 3 divided by 3 is 3, right? So 6 minus 3 is 3. 3 divided by 3 is 1. And in this case, 4 plus 8, 12. And 12 divided by 3 is 4. So the centroid which we get from here is 1, 4. However, we have to use this method which has been taught in the class to find the centroid. The method involves in finding midpoints. So first step is to find the midpoint of each side. So let's find AD. So we'll find D, which is the midpoint of BC, right? So midpoint of BC. We'll use the formula x1 plus x2 divided by 2, y1 plus y2 divided by 2, correct? So the midpoint D is equal to 5 plus 1 divided by 2 and 8 plus 0 divided by 2. That is 5 plus 1, 6, 6 divided by 2 is 3, 8 divided by 2 is 4. So we get this point as 3, 4. Now we can use these 2 points to find equation of the median AD. So let's find equation of the line AD using these 2 points. One is D, the second one is A, which is minus 3, 4. To find the equation, we should first find the slope. So what is the slope of AD? Slope, we'll use the formula y2 minus y1 divided by x2 minus x1. That gives us 4 minus 4 divided by minus 3 minus 3, which is 0 over minus 6, which is 0. Since the slope is 0, so it's a horizontal line, as you can see, y points have 4. So the equation of AD is y equals to 4. Right? So that becomes the equation of the line AD. So let me highlight this, and we'll call this as our equation number 1. So this is our equation number 1. Now let's find, now we have to find second median from B. That means we have to find this point E now. Now point E is equal to what? It is the midpoint of AC. So we add these two values, which is minus 3 plus 1 divided by 2. And the Y values are 4 plus 0 divided by 2, correct? That gives us minus 2 divided by 2 is minus 1, and that is 2. So we get coordinates of E as minus 1 and 2, and that gives us slope of BE as B is, we are now looking into point B, which is 5 and 8, and this is point E. Y2 minus Y1, which is 8 minus 2, divided by X2 minus X1. 5 minus minus becomes plus. 8 minus 2, 6. 6 over 6 is 1. So the slope is 1. Since the slope is 1, we can write equation as y equals to x plus b. We can use the point 5 and 8. 8 for y, 5 for x. And that gives us 3 as equals to b, correct? Since b equals to 3, we can write down this equation as y equals to, so b is 3, right? So we get y equals to x plus 3 as our second equation, correct? So this is my second equation of the median. Let me write this as 2. Now what is the point of intersection between these two? So let's find point of intersection between equation 1 and equation 2. So if I substitute y equals to 4 here, what do I get? Well, x value should be equal to, so I'm substituting 4 here, so 4 equals to x plus 3. So 4 minus 3 is equals to x, which is indeed equal to 1. So as you can see, we get the same value of x as we figured out earlier, correct? So the formula actually works, right? So the formula actually works. Now we know here that the centroid is at x equals to 1 and y equals to 4. Now y equals to 4 is a horizontal line, and x equals to 1 happens to be the vertical line. Okay, so the centroid is at 1, 4. So we found this point as 1, 4. Now we have to verify that the third median also passes through this point. And secondly, we have to also verify the distance. Verify that the point is 2/3 of distance along each median, right? So let's move on to the next page. I'll copy the information which we have here and then do part B and C. So what we have here is, let me again sketch the triangle. So let me again sketch the triangle here. So we have a triangle, something like this. And what we figure out is that that is how the median is, right? So that is the point of intersection. So now I'm not making the axis, but I'm just concentrating more on the point of intersection, which is 1, 4, right? So this point is 1, 4 for us. And point C is 1, 0. Point A given to us is minus 3, 4, which I've copied here. And B is 5, 8. Correct? We have to verify that 1, 4 also lies on the median from C, right? So this is not to the scale diagram. So let's find midpoint. We have D, E, and this is F now here, right? So F is midpoint of AB, right? So what should it be? It should be half of 8 plus x values, which is 5 minus 3 divided by 2, and y values 8 plus 4 divided by 2, correct? So we get the coordinates of point F as 5 minus 3 is 2, 2 divided by 2 is 1, and this is 8 plus 4, 12, 12 divided by 2 is 6. So we get point 1 and 6. We know C is 1 and 0. So what is the slope here? Slope between F and C is y2 minus y1, which is 0 minus 6 divided by 1 minus 1. So it is minus 6 over 0. It is undefined. That means equation of the line is equation of median. CF is what? Is x equals to 1, a vertical line. Do you see that? Undefined means a vertical line. So x values, as you can see, are same. The equation is x equals to 1. Now, x equals to 1 will definitely go through 1, 4, correct? As you can see, the line, which is, I should say, median, from C will pass through the centroid, which is 1, 4, correct? So we have shown that part 2, that the median from third vertex will also go through the point of intersection. Is it okay? Now part 3 of the question is to verify that the distance is 2/3. So part 3 is verify that the point is 2/3 of the distance along the median. Now, if you see this point CF, right, CF, let me draw it here once again. So what you get here is point F is, let me write down, point F is 1, 6. Correct. So in this line, let me redraw this line clearly. So we have this line here. So I'm redrawing this line, which is C, which is 1, 0, and here we have F, which is 1, 6, and somewhere here we have a point 1, 4, which is a centroid. Now, as you can see, what is the distance between, let's call this centroid as point O, right? So you can see that the distance from C to O is 4 units, right? This is 4 units. And from F to C is 6 units. And therefore, we can conclude that from the vertex to the centroid, which is CO divided by C of F, how much is the distance? In this particular case, it is 4/6, which is 2/3. Correct? Now, if you look into this horizontal line also, we found that this midpoint was 3, 4. This point is 3, 4 for us. D. So horizontally you will find, now this is minus 3, 4, and this is 3, 4. That means total length is 6 units. And from vertex to the centroid, it is again 4 units. Correct? And therefore, here also the distance is 2/3, right? So I like you to verify that from all these points, vertices, what I mean to say is part C. verify that this point is 2/3 of the distance along each median. So in this particular diagram, which is the better one, you can calculate that the distance, let's call this point as O, BO over BE is equal to CO over CF, which is equal to AO over AD, and which is equal to 2/3. Correct? So that is what you'll verify by finding the distance, and that's part C. So I hope with this you understand that centroid is a point where all the medians intersect, and centroid divides the median in the ratio of 2:3 as shown here. And to get the equation of the median, we have to actually get the midpoint of the opposite side. Line joining the vertex with midpoint of the opposite is called the median. So I hope all the concepts about median, centroid, and the distances involved is clear. Feel free to write your comments, share your views, and if you like and subscribe, that'll be great. Thanks for watching and all the best.